Welcome back, everybody, to Late Night Snacks. If you are here because you are looking forward to your stand coverage. We are a little late bringing this episode in, but we're making sure that you get it before the next episode. So there's that. So just to stop real quick and let you know what we're doing. This is the Stephen King's The Stand 2020, which streams on CBS All Access on Thursdays. And it's a 9-episode, 10-hour series based on the novel, kind of mostly. With, some interpretations thereof. And like me and, let me just say, I'm Irish Melly. This is DeWanda, and we were just discussing the fact that we're really excited for the ending because all we know is that the ending is going to be completely different from the novel or the miniseries, but it is written by King himself. He actually did the screenplay for that one. So I'm excited, super excited for that. And that should be our super long episode. Well, not super long, but longer episode. It'll be longer than an hour is what our 9th episode should be, because that's where we should get that 10-hour in.
That's what we're
hoping, fingers crossed. So yes, this was The Stand 2020 season 1, episode 4, The House of the Dead.
Yes.
And I will go ahead and pull the screen share up.
All right, here we go.
And
I am going to do this so everyone can see it.
Hopefully it plays.
Oh, here we go. Let's see if this is going to work.
Maybe if I make it smaller. Maybe. All right, I'll work on this. You go ahead and just get started telling them about how this episode starts.
All right. She's going to work on that. I'm going to start touching base on some of this stuff here. So, the beginning of the episode starts.
Put us back in real quick. There we go.
We're going to fix that.
Yeah.
So the episode starts with Fran. She's writing in a journal, and I believe this is a letter to her unborn child. That is my take on it.
That's what I took too. It sounded like she was talking with someone who isn't yet there. We know that she hasn't had her baby, so it makes the most logical sense.
And it's a toss up. It's kind of a voiceover, but we do get to see her where she's writing in the journal, which is good. And as she's doing that, everyone is basically getting ready for the town meeting. We see clips of everyone getting dressed up to have their very first town meeting because everybody has questions and
they all seem very nervous.
Yes,
the five anyway. Our main 5, our 5 leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Which, just to recap for everybody, is Stu Redman, Larry Underwood, Fran, you said, and
Fran,
Glenn Redman, and who's the 5th?
Nick
Andros. That's right.
Yeah. So they're getting ready to talk, and it jumps back and forth where they're actually having the meeting, trying to figure out who's going to talk first, who's basically going to discuss all of these things. And they nominate Stu to do this, and he doesn't want to do it. He wants Glenn to do it because Glenn's a better speaker.
I like that they tell him everybody loves an accent. He says, I don't have an accent.
I don't have an accent. But
yeah, okay, East Texas.
So yeah, we get to the town meeting, and obviously Stu's talking, and he's not talking loud enough, and they start yelling at him to speak louder. And Franny basically has Larry come up and work the crowd and answer the questions that they want answered, because they have answers about the man that was brought in last week and what's going on with that, why they haven't discussed it. So Larry comes in and basically answers all their questions, has a bunch of people stand up because they now need to um, have like a city watch. So he has a bunch of people stand up to congratulate them for everything that they're doing, and then he turns it back over to Stu, and Stu basically explains that um,
Well,
his
yeah, like you said, he congratulates people, and which it really raises morale too. And you see that with these people, where it wasn't just Larry BSing people; it really was people just wanted recognition for what they had done, and
yeah.
that boosted the morale, knowing that there was some appreciation for your work, and especially for like the body crew. You saw
Mm-hmm.
how like they all looked at each other and they're like, "Okay, all right,"
Because
and that was awesome because I think if anybody deserves it, they do. They do some of the hardest, nastiest work.
so yeah, Stu talks about the city watch, but he also brings up, because they're all asking about, who is this man that was brought into the hospital? You guys haven't discussed it. We need to know. And he said, well, obviously you guys know that we came across this man on the road, and he obviously came across the wrong man. That's all he says about it. He doesn't say anything else. He's very vague because they haven't really talked about anything else.
Okay, you should be able to use that screen share now.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this again. Here we go.
Ta-da! No, I just got to fast forward to where you're at. So go ahead, keep going.
So that's the touch on the beginning of the whole episode. As we go along, we're bouncing back and forth between they're talking about who's going to talk during the meeting, who's in charge, and Stu doesn't want to do it, and eventually down the road in the episode, we have Nadine meeting up at Harold's house
after the meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah, at least from what I remember. Yeah, because Harold basically nominates the entire committee in toto.
There we go. Right there is where Harold nominates everyone.
He nominates everyone, and they all say aye. And so obviously, because they're doing such a good job, everybody agrees to it, and that's how the committee is enacted. And then the next scene, we have Nadine sitting on Harold's porch, and she scares the living crap out of him. Obviously, we get a very short scene with her basically seducing him and telling him
she did more than seduce this poor little boy. Okay, I remember too that Harold's only like 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, that's true. He is.
She's a grown-ass woman who was a teacher. So what did she do with her with her students? Was she one of these teachers who was messing around with students? And the whole hot for teacher thing.
I get it.
When he's filled with all these emotions, whether they be rage, sexuality, questioning, his crush, all these things, like this is like a typical 16, 17-year-old kid. Like, yeah, he's a bad kid when we see that, like he makes some bad decisions and we kind of, we're not supposed to like him, but he's a kid. I don't like most kids at 16, 17. How about you?
So yes, Nadine seduces him and then some. Okay. Yeah. But basically she says, I've come here for a reason. We have a mission that we have to complete.
Poor Harold, right there.
Yeah, we have a mission that we have to complete before we leave this place and go to Boulder. And he's like, well, what, man? And she gets frustrated and tries to walk out of the room, and she's basically, I don't have time for this and all of that. Right. And so they kind of condensed the whole thing, which it was a good scene. I'm not saying it wasn't. But this was basically condensed into one small scene.
Which then kind of flashes to the scene with Franny and Harold because of what he just went through with her.
Because of what he just went through with her, we have a flash this is a flashback to
Said
2 months
2 months.
earlier.
Yeah, 2
2
months.
months earlier, and
which means this is 3 months after he discovered, after the outbreak started.
right. And obviously he's still obsessed with Franny because look at his face. He's
He's just
watching
watching her.
every move.
That's kind of a creepy pause, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
his whole demeanor right there.
And so she wakes up from a bad dream, and she asks him, you know, have you slept? And he says, no, there's too much to do. And he basically confesses his love to her, and
As he tries to kiss her.
And she flat out just rejects him in an ugly way. She just like, I do not have those feelings for you. I never will. And he goes off and pouts like a little baby because he's just been shot down by the one girl that.
Ew, there you go, right there. That's what basically what he did to him right there was like, ew, uck.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that was so hard.
And the only thing he says is, this is about Stu Redmond. And she says, no, it's not.
And at that point, why would he think it would be about Stu? They met Stu one time.
I know.
But maybe it's because they're the only two from their town and they haven't really seen any other survivors along the way. So to him, like, he's now got competition for the last man on earth position for this girl.
Right. So we have this whole scene, and then after that we have Glenn and Stu driving now. Where they found the truck, I'll never know, but okay, I'll let that one slide. So
Glenn, you got to remember the time period from when this happens is right when they left Glenn's house, when Stu was still chopped up at his house. So the generator and all that shit, it wouldn't surprise me if he had backup fuel and a truck and everything else.
All right, you know I'll let that one slide, but I'm still going.
And it wasn't on his accord. Remember, his late wife was the one who was prepared.
I know. So they're driving along, and they see a sign from Harold, and they have a discussion in the car, and basically Glenn says something along the lines of, obviously they both made a really big impression on you.
Yeah.
And then we get the scene with Franny and Harold riding their bikes. This was an interesting
little mopeds.
This is an interesting scene right here. This is a little bit different from the book.
Yeah.
They kind of condensed it a little bit because
it was graphic AF. I will tell you. Oh man!
But they did.
I don't even know if I want to show those clips on here.
They did do it justice on this one.
It was definitely very King.
Yes, I mean, this is where we meet Dana Jurgens.
Yes.
And I do not remember this guy's name for the life of me. If Tammy were here,
you know what? We don't want to give a name to a sleazeball anyway.
I know.
Basically, he laid in his semi truck, as you guys just saw. It was laid out across the highway. Yep. He laid there and pretended to be dead, or incoherent or whatever, basically dead, so that they would think somebody just died while his truck got spewed up like that. Come to find out, this guy pulls a gun on him, and this is something he's done to trap people in the past, and then we find out why, and I'll let you tell that.
Yeah. Basically he's trying to capture people because in the book,
he's trying to capture women.
He's trying to capture women for.
He wants his own harem, he said.
He wants his own harem. It's kind of like for sex trafficking in a way. And he opens the back of the truck, and that's where we see Dana and one other girl. I never got a name on that one.
I'm not sure. She doesn't last long, so.
She doesn't last long. And we have a whole scene where they have to handcuff themselves, and
Harold needs to prove his manliness, and let's just say he definitely does not in the eyes of Fran.
It does, yeah. It doesn't go over well at all because Harold gets the living crap beat out of him.
Right, and especially seeing his just past rejection that he just got. Like, Like, I feel so bad for the kid. I really do in
I
this
know.
moment because like again, he's a 16, 17-year-old kid. This is a grown man with a gun to his head. What did
Yeah,
you expect him to do? You know what I mean? Yeah, he wants to fight for this girl that he loves, but he knows he's not going to beat up this dude. He took a swing at him though. I'll give him
he
that.
tried. Oh, I know. I give him snaps for that. He did try. Um, so Harold gets the crap beat out of him, basically. And Dana, on the other hand, and the other girl, they're eyeing. There's a pipe that's on the truck that
There we
they're
go. These
eyeing,
are
and
the
they
two
get
that were
over
in the
there
back.
and
This
they
is
get
Dana
over.
here in the center.
That's Dana right there. Yeah.
And then Fran's over here. We're not sure the name of this girl.
No, Franny's on the other side of her. The one in the pink, that's someone I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's what I'm saying. This one right here, the pink one. We're not sure what her name is.
Anyway, they're eyeing. There's a pipe on the truck, and they're trying to get away to get to the pipe. So they get to the pipe, and Dana basically tackles this guy, and the gun. She tries to grab the gun, and she ends up inadvertently shooting the other girl, and the girl dies. And then Dana gets a hold of the pipe and literally beats the living crap out of this guy. And this is like the most graphic thing.
Oh my God, dude. Like his whole head is smashed in. Like I said, I
Yeah,
don't even
his
know
whole
how to show
head
it.
is smashed in.
But I mean, it was graphic. Even the where the girl got shot in the head, that was really
Yeah.
graphic when Fran looked back at her again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
let me show that with you.
And during this whole scene, we have Stu and Glenn riding in to save the day. And this is where we cut to a night scene where the group is now sitting together and they're talking about the dreams that they're all having. And Franny was just like, well, how can we never discuss the fact that we're all having these dreams? And Harold is, defensive.
Yeah, she's like telling Harold, how come you never told me you had these dreams too?
Right. And this is where Franny actually tells Stu that she's pregnant.
And he tells her he already kind of knew.
And he already kind of knew because of Glenn's painting, which
Right.
that was a nice touch.
And then basically, she proceeds to break down and tell Stu that she's really scared because they talk about having the dreams about the dark man as well. And she says, well, you didn't mention that. And he says, well, it's not something you generally mention. And that's when she just breaks down and she says she's scared. And she breaks down in his arms and he just holds her. And of course, poor Harold sees this out the back of the bus.
Yes, Harold's hatred for Stuart is growing and growing and growing and growing during this entire endeavor.
Right there.
Yeah.
So then we're back at
So now we're back at the City Watch.
We're in Colorado.
Yeah, we're back in present day. They're suiting up the City Watch. And
well, they found ski patrol gear from one of the mountains, from one of the ski hills on one of the mountains, and they brought this down for the body crew and everyone so that they can be a little more covered, they can be a little more warm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Harold finds the brochure for ski patrol, snow patrol, all of that. And then they have a thing about controlled avalanches and how every post carries explosives. So that's
where he gets the idea for the explosives, because Nadine basically says, well, you need to figure out a way to kill them, because during their encounter, she said, well, you want to kill Stu Redman, don't you? And she also said, and the 5 minions that are part of the committee. Well, you need to figure out a way to do that.
He says he needs to kill Mother Abigail and her 5 minions.
Mm-hmm. Here's our nice little. That was kind of a little break in between all the chaos.
Yeah, him and Teddy.
Yeah.
And, he just, poor Teddy, bless his sweet little, black-sided soul. He just wants to know if the Rock is still alive. And he's trying to have hope that maybe the Rock is still alive somewhere.
Maybe the Rock is still alive. Yeah, I know. Okay.
Then we get back to the meeting with our 5.
Okay, now we get back to the meeting with our 5, and this is where they're discussing sending spies to Las Vegas to get more information on Flagg. And this is a blatant violation of what Mother Abigail wants them to do, but they're going to do it anyway.
Which we actually see a clip of later on with her telling Nick at the end, this is why I think we should do nothing and wait for an answer from the Lord. I know it's hard to wait, and it kind of makes you feel like suddenly now, like, oops, maybe we're going against the Lord.
Now, obviously, the 3 spies they decide to send over there are Dana Jurgens.
Which is partly why we just got her story.
Which is why we just got her story, because Stu wants to go, and obviously he can't go because they're too valuable. They have to stay behind.
They would be noticed, right?
They would be noticed if they were missing, so they can't go. And so the 3 spies that they send are Dana Jurgens, Judge Ferris, which Judge Ferris in this adaptation is a woman instead of a man.
Yeah, I like
that. I don't know if we're going to get any more screen time with her. I have no idea. And then the last spy that they're going to send is Tom Cullen. Now, the other change that we have here is that I'll get to that part when we get there, because we're now going back to Nick is telling
and that's the thing with it's hard to follow if you're not following. We're trying to keep it, and that's why we're showing you guys too, to keep it in order, because this episode bounced back and forth a lot without letting you know they were doing it.
Right.
There was no clear cut, like, oh, we're looking back now. Oh, we're looking forward now. No. It was just, you kind of had to decipher it as they were showing it to you.
Right. So basically what they're talking about now is they're talking about sending Tom over to Las Vegas. And Nick is basically telling them that, Tom will surprise you.
Right.
And then now you can move forward.
Then we get the flash with
Now we get the flash with Nick and Tom in a warehouse. Mm-hmm. And this is where we meet Julie Laurie. There she is right there. This was I didn't write down her name, and I should have, but I didn't. This is a condensed scene. And this is, in a way, this is actually cute, because this is where Tom actually finally gets to know what Nick's name is.
Because for those of you who don't remember or are not watching it and just kind of following these reviews and going to watch it later, so Nick is deaf and mute. He's not just deaf, he's deaf and mute, but he can read lips, and he can write, and he can read. Well, he's traveling with Tom, who can speak and hear, but Tom cannot read or write. So up until this point, Tom has not known what Nick's name was, because he wasn't able to tell him, and he can't read it if he wrote it down for him.
No. Now, Julie Laurie is going to play a pivotal part later on down the road. So that's why we have her right now.
Yeah.
Just so people are aware.
Yeah, you're not just like, who's this crazy coot?
That's all I'm going to say on that. But that's all I'm going to say on that right now.
Yeah.
There. But she teases Tom because he's mentally
handicapped. What did he say? Did he say mentally able?
No, he said handy-capable.
Handy-capable. That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was like she was saying the R word, which I'm not going to repeat, because I condone that. I do not condone that. No. But she says it, and she's trying to get Tom to repeat it, saying that that's his name. And Nick stops her because he realizes what she's doing. And then as she says it out loud, Tom overhears it, and he knows what she's saying. He's heard that word before, and that's when he says it. He says, no, I'm handy capable.
Yeah,
And
and
you could tell it really upset him, which
he
is
gets upset.
understandable.
He gets upset and runs away, and Nick goes towards him, and she just basically freaks out and says, "You're going to pick him over me." And then that's when she starts shooting at them, and she's going to play a pivotal part later on down the road. And this,
And well, let's just say too, like she sees Nick and Nick sees her, and it's like the first time either one of them has seen
yeah,
someone of the opposite sex in a while. So they're
right,
both like, oh my God, this feels good to touch someone, you know what I mean? Or
right.
in like a sensual matter. And even she broke down, she's like, I'm just so lonely.
Mm-hmm. Now they're out of the warehouse. There they go. They're going out of the warehouse. And
Bam.
here is our cameo
Here is
of
our
Stephen
Stephen King
King.
cameo from the man himself. If you guys didn't catch it,
He's
on
right
the
there.
side of the bus shelter, there is a poster for Hemingford Home, which now, different from the novel, has been turned into a retirement
Nurse.
community,
Yeah.
assisted living facility,
Yeah.
an old folks home, whatever you want to call it. That's what it's been turned into. And
Mhm.
we see right here one of the ones sitting at the table having dinner in Hemingford Home when the poster was, the shot was taken for the poster, is our very own Stephen
King.
King. Right
There
here.
he is right there.
Right
Okay.
here. So yeah, I was very excited when I saw that. I'm like, oh my God, there it is. And it's so quick. You have to
It's
really
so
catch
quick.
it.
If you blink, literally, if you blink, you're going to miss it. Okay.
Yeah.
So after that, they realize that they've basically
And then they have their sweet moment where
they
Tom's
have
like,
their
my friend Nick.
my
Nick.
friend
He's so
Nick.
excited to know his name.
Yeah, and they get excited and they finally embrace, and this is where they finally find Mother Abigail.
And we see that it's a home. And this was sad though. We see
Yeah.
Mother Abigail is still in this home, and we know that she's been having these visions or these dreams, and we know that she's passed them out. When you see her, you hear her talking to someone. There's no one around her, but you see all of the deceased bodies of her friends that are around her, and she tells them, my pills ran out, what'd she say, a day ago or a day or so ago, and I'm not sure how much longer I'll make it. And then all of a sudden, Nick and Tom walk in, and it's like she looked disheveled, and it was like suddenly that was her ray of light.
Yeah.
She wasn't alone anymore.
Right.
And I love that. She says MOON. That spells Mother Abigail.
Uh-huh.
That's right, Tom. MOON spells
You know
Mother.
my whole name.
Yeah. She
You know
said,
my
Miss
whole
Tom,
name.
I know your whole name. He was so happy. But then that's where we get to them talking about Tom being that third spy.
Yes, and they did do a little bit of a change here because in the book they have to hypnotize him
Yeah.
in order for the story to stick.
I believe they did in the miniseries too, didn't
They
they?
did it in the miniseries as well. They didn't
That's
do
what I
it
thought.
here. They didn't do it here, so I'm interested to find out how that's going to work because they didn't hypnotize him this time, and they changed the story a little bit too.
Yeah.
But all in all, this was not a bad scene. I didn't dislike it, but yeah, this is where they tell him, they go over the story with him before they send him off. And this is where they vote to actually send him off.
Yeah. After they've talked to him and
After they've
everything.
talked to him and they
Because they
realize,
wanted it to be his own choice. They didn't want him to feel like they were making this choice for him. But like they said too, is he fully capable of understanding the choice we're putting before him?
and then that's where Nick says, he'll surprise you.
Yeah. And then Mother Abigail closes up for the night, and that's when we get the scene with her and Nick, where
Yep.
she tells Nick, just be patient. I know it's hard to wait, but the Lord will send us a sign. The Lord will tell us what we need to do. And he's looking guilty AF sitting
I know.
here. He knows what he did.
He went against her,
And
but
he's a right-hand man. I mean, he's Mother Abigail's, he speaks for her.
Yep. Yep.
And I mean,
And as we get toward the end here, we're getting toward the end now. They're sending off all the spies.
Tom.
Oh, I know. And look, they're wearing the same jacket. That's so
I know.
cute.
I was like, they have matching coats on. I love it. And then he told him, he said, I'm so sad my friend Nick can't come with me. He said, you know why Nick can't come with you? He said, I know.
And now this is a montage because we're toward the end here now.
Yeah.
We have Nadine and Harold going to get explosives from I believe it's a ski lodge.
Yeah, it's like an outpost for the ski lodge.
But at the same time, while this is happening, they're getting ready to turn the lights back on, or to turn the electricity back on. So we jump back and forth between these two things. And let's see, the nice thing, the thing I actually liked is the fact that you had Larry on the roof playing the guitar. That was my favorite.
I loved it. And you had Larry, after the lights came back on and everything, Larry's on the roof playing the Star Spangled Banner. Very reminiscent, I might add, as of Jimi Hendrix version of the Star Spangled Banner.
Yes.
Not that it was, but it was very reminiscent thereof. There we go. You see Larry right up here on the roof with the spotlight. I don't know where they got a spotlight from, but they had one.
Right.
And then that's when we get back to Nadine and Harold.
We get back to Nadine and Harold, and we have the final scene where
poor
Teddy Weizak shows up in the middle of them getting explosives.
And of course, he sees Nadine right away, and he's like, oh, this is that girl I like. I got the crush on her. I'd never have a chance with her, but I do now.
He's like, what do you got there? School supplies? Let me help you with that. And then Harold walks in and walks over.
Oh, Haas, what's up?
I thought I saw your truck. And the next thing we know, Nadine shoots Teddy Weizak.
Bam.
Kills him.
Harold catches him.
And the last thing that Teddy Weizak says to Harold is run. Yeah, that is the last thing that he says is run. Now, the interesting thing is I want to find out how they're going to handle covering up the body. That's what I want to find out. But this right here is the end of the episode.
No, that ends it right there. Is Harold kind of like, what? And then he looks back at Nadine like, what did you do?
Right. Now, let's see. Thoughts on the episode?
Oh, I just realized my camera moved. What the hell?
I liked the episode. There were parts.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay.
Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I like that we got more backstory on some main characters, especially like Nick and Tom. I really enjoyed that backstory. Because I've been waiting. I'm like, when does he get to know his name? Somebody tell him his name is Nick.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. I obviously enjoyed our King cameo here. Let me lean this way.
I do. I look forward to that and everything that he does. It's like I have to be looking for
sure. Yeah. And I know one of the big things that we had talked about last week was the portrayal of Tom Cullen.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say, I wasn't as annoyed, and it didn't seem as overbearing this week as it did the previous week with the introduction. I do say I'm not completely sold yet on this actor's portrayal of Tom Cullen, but I was a little bit more okay with it this episode than I was previously. So
now, on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as the score that I would give this episode, I'm still I'm floating at a 7 still. Okay. I'm expecting a lot from this.
I'm not going to go super high, but I'm going to say there was probably about a 7.5, 8 for me on this episode. Because I liked the backstory. I liked them introducing Dana and Julie, because I felt like, when are we going to get to some more people, some more characters here, Well,
I want to see the bad people. I'm itching for that. That's what I want.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking too, because with this being where, like, we just saw them finally send off spies to Vegas in episode 4, we know that there's 5 more episodes to go. So, I figured they're going to start touching on them next episode. And if not next episode, it's going to be showing the Three Spies travels there, and then it's going to show us after next episode. So it'll be like 5 will be more backstory and travel, where 6 will be really hitting home with the new people from Vegas and more backstory with them.
Because
so.
I want more time with Flagg. That's what I want. That's the
meat. Skarsgård looks so amazing as Flagg already. So yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. Definitely excited to see some more.
That is our coverage of episode 4, everybody.
So with that, we have brought you episode 4. We will be back Thursday with episode 5.
Yes.
And if you guys haven't watched our character reviews, where we've been introducing these characters to you and giving you more backstory, description down below, there is a link to the playlist for the character reviews. Yes. Please feel free to watch as many, if not all of those. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Hit the bell so you're notified every single time we upload, because we upload stuff all the time and we surprise you guys with new stuff all the time.
Yeah, and there will be more character reviews coming. We're
just waiting until they introduce the characters to give them to you, because we don't want to give you stuff before it's coming.
Right.
It's coming. But it's coming.
It's coming.
With that, I have been Irish Melly. She has been DeWanda. We love you. We love you for being here. Be kind to yourself and be kind to someone else. Bye, guys.
Right. We'll catch you in the next one, guys.